Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app on this Friday, February 4th, where for the most part, seems like the snow has pretty much stopped, although I was just looking out the window and there are definitely some big flurries coming down right now. But before that, we're going to get to a big top story today. This is breaking news. Former Strongsville priest who was convicted of sex crimes, has died in prison. I'm talking about Robert McWilliams. He was serving a life sentence at the Allenwood Federal Prison in Pennsylvania. His death is now being investigated as a suicide. Now, this former priest pleaded guilty last year to federal charges of sex trafficking, child pornography, and exploiting children. Among the crimes committed by the former priest included taking confessions that he heard from a teenage boy and then using those confidences to extort sexually explicit photos from the boy. In other instances, he was found to have paid 2 teenage boys, ages 13 and 16, that he found online to perform sexual acts. He began serving his life sentence in November for child abuse and pornography charges. We have a statement from the Archdiocese of Cleveland on WKYC.com and also information there for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Remember, if you or someone that you know are experiencing feelings where you might need some help, you can find that information on WKYC.com. We've also learned today that Bernie Moreno has dropped out of the Republican primary race for the U.S. Senate seat here in Ohio. That's a seat that will be open when current Republican Senator Rob Portman retires. He has already decided that he is not running again, so that seat will be opening up. Of course, he would have had to run for it again anyway, but he has said he is not running again. So Bernie Moreno, he is a Northeast Ohio business person. He said he came to this decision to withdraw after having a conversation with former President Donald Trump. He said he asked for a private meeting with the former president, and he wanted to talk about the state of the Ohio Senate race. He said he's a businessman, not a politician, and business leaders recognize patterns before they happen. Here's a quote from Bernie Moreno. After talking to President Trump, we both agreed this race has too many Trump candidates and could cost the MAGA movement a conservative seat. Among the people running who might be considered so-called Trump candidates are former Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel, former Ohio Republican Party Chair Jane Timken, and the author of Hillbilly Elegy, J.D. Vance. Now, this information about him deciding not to run comes the same day as Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose letting everyone know, naming the candidates who have filed to run for the seat that's now being held by Senator Portman. The people who had filed do include Moreno, he did file, also Matt Dolan, Mike Gibbons, Bill Graham, Josh Mandel, Neil Patel, Mark Pukata, Jane Timken, and J.D. Vance. Those are the Republicans who had filed. The Democrats who have filed are Morgan Harper, Tracy Johnson, Tim Ryan, and LaShondra Tinsley. Now, as we take a look at the winter weather outlook for today, what we have in from our chief meteorologist, Betsy Kling, is that we will hold on to some flurries into the afternoon, but by evening we are done. So that makes sense. I was just looking out the window, like I said, saw those flurries. Almost everyone in Northeast Ohio will have a total of 8 to 11 inches of snow when this is all said and done. Some will get a little bit more, some will get a little bit less. South of Canton, that's where you're seeing 5 to 8 inches of snow, and that's on top of a glaze of ice. So when that snow melts, that ice will be down there waiting. And keep in mind, there are plenty of high winds that are causing drifting in many areas. So if you're seeing something that looks higher than those total amounts, that snow is blowing around and it is drifting and it's stacking up pretty high in some places. And Betsy Kling always reminds us the impact is more important than focusing on those numbers. So let's talk a little bit about the impact. We have our live weather blog that's up on WKYC.com. And as of 1:50 p.m. today, our chief meteorologist, Betsy Kling, turned the alert on the Al Roker Tower back to blue. No longer in that severe weather condition situation, so now it's in blue and not code red. Also this afternoon, the Lorain County Sheriff's Office has canceled the snow diving advisory there. And Ashland County had been downgraded earlier this afternoon from a level 3 to a level 2 snow emergency. Now, a level 2 emergency is defined as roads being hazardous due to the blowing and drifting of snow or ice cover, and only if you believe it's necessary should you be on the roadways. You should contact your employer. If you're supposed to report to work, you're allowed to comply with your employer policies, but that's the definition of that level 2 emergency. Now, speaking of the snow situation and the snow removal situation, I just took a look at the plow tracker here in Cleveland, and it doesn't track the residential roads. It's tracking, more of the main roads. So I was taking a look, trying to see what the state of affairs was on my street. Couldn't figure it out. So as of this morning, though, we do know that the city of Cleveland reports that its main streets have been plowed and salted as of 9:30 a.m. and that crews are now focusing on residential streets only for their current shift, and that 20 people were clearing bus shelters to ensure accessibility at those bus shelters. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the snow emergencies that might still be in effect. As I said, here in Northeast Ohio, a couple of them. Lorraine has been downgraded. It was downgraded to a level 1 and then completely canceled altogether. Some of the others that were at level 2 as of this morning, Medina, Portage, Summit, and Wayne counties. Again, that's when it's hazardous to drive because of blowing and drifting snow or ice cover, and you should only drive if it's necessary. Contact your employer. You can comply with your workplace policies. And that alert for those counties was to remain into effect until further notice. When we get updates on those, of course, we'll bring them to you on WKYC.com and our live weather blog. Now, let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. In the last 24 hours, there have been 4,004 new reported COVID-19 cases. Right now, the total number of people who have died related to COVID-19 is 34,217. And there are 3,348 people that are currently in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. Now, out of those people, 687 of them are being treated in an ICU. And we continue to see what our healthcare providers are doing here in Northeast Ohio when it comes to that vaccine mandate, because yes, the healthcare worker vaccine mandate from President Joe Biden's administration was able to stand according to the U.S. Supreme Court. So this week, 66 caregivers at Akron Children's Hospital have been let go for not complying with that vaccine mandate. Now, the system tells us that's less than 1% of their total caregivers. And this is 3 weeks after these people were placed on unpaid leave to give them an opportunity to comply with the vaccine mandate. And they say that the hospital says this is the best way to provide care for a vulnerable population. Lisa Aurelio is the chief operating officer at Akron Children's Hospital, and Lisa told 3 News this: "We're hopeful that number will decrease, the 66 people that were let go, as additional employees have indicated a willingness to comply, and we are willing to work with them. We are sorry to lose employees who have chosen to end their employment rather than comply. A vaccinated workforce is the best protection we can offer our patients, especially those who are most vulnerable, and the best way to move beyond the pandemic." So, potentially sounding like there that those 66 employees who were let go, some of them could potentially come back if they are complying with that vaccine mandate. Now, let's take a look at Amazon Prime membership. So many of us have them, and the price is going up. It's going up to $139 per year when it was $119 per year. And interesting timing for this news, because the company just reported fourth quarter profits that were very high. They were nearly double what analysts were expecting. So as the new price, the company announced a profit of $14.32 billion. That's for the 3-month period ending December 31st. Year ago, same exact time, the profit was $7.22 billion. So almost more than double what they made a year ago over the same period. Now, here's what Amazon said about it in a release. They said, in the last few years, Amazon has added more product selections available with fast, free, unlimited Prime shipping. Well, it's not free because we're paying for it. We're paying that annual fee for it, but no additional charge beyond that annual fee. Also, to get back to their statement, more exclusive deals and discounts and more high-quality digital entertainment, including TV, movies, music, and books. So I think the moral of the story here is if you've got an Amazon Prime membership, make sure you are taking advantage of all those perks because you are certainly paying for them. So if you're a brand new Prime member, the price change goes into effect February 18th for an annual rate. So if you want to get in on the lower annual price, you can do that between now and February 18th. And if you're a current Prime member, that price change goes into effect March 25th. This is the first time Amazon has raised the price since 2018. Now, I took a look at my Prime account because I was curious about this, and I realized I'm being charged $12.99 per month. And when you multiply that by 12, that's like $156. So I have not been being charged $119 a year or $139 a year. And I did some investigating. I said, why? Why is this happening? It's cheaper. If you pay an annual amount, if you pay it in one lump sum versus monthly, it's cheaper. So, moral of this story for me is I will pay the annual sum, and this price hike will actually end up being a price cut for me because apparently I've been paying $12.99 per month by not taking advantage of that annual sum. So if you could do it that way, you could save yourself a little bit of money. Now, I want to talk about an exclusive interview that I had with Olympic winner Katie Naija. She's from Northeast Ohio. She's from Olmsted Falls. And when we were chatting this week on my 3 Things to Know podcast, she talked with me, revealing a mental health struggle that she's been having since winning gold at the Olympic Games. She was the top female performer. She won the Olympic gold in the women's pole vault competition at those delayed Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympic Games that happened just in August of 2021 because of the delay because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And what she told me was, now that she's reached that peak, now that she's done this thing, now that she's accomplished this feat, she's having a hard time getting motivated to do the training and do the things that she needs to do in order to compete the way that she wants to compete. Now, here's the thing. She says pole vaulting is scary for her. It's a fearful thing. Now, if you're not familiar with pole vaulting, that's when you're running down the track, you've got that pole, you stick it, and then you hurl yourself over a bar, nearly a 16-foot high bar. So yeah, I can understand why that would be very scary. And so she's saying, absence that urgency of, oh, the Olympics are coming up. Oh, I have to try to get to the Olympics. I've got to qualify for the Olympics. She's really having a hard time with that motivation. So she shared that. And she shared some of the ways that she's working through that with her coach. We also talk about advice that she has for people who are in Beijing. As you know, the Winter Olympics kickoff opening ceremony on February 4th. So that's today. We had it this morning on WKYC.com and streaming on NBC Olympics. We'll also have a repeat tonight on 3 on WKYC. That'll be coming because Beijing is 13 hours ahead. So great conversation with Katie. I encourage you to listen to it. Check it out. It's on WKYC.com. I also talked with a psychologist from the Cleveland Clinic to sort of help us better understand how common this is, where these feelings are coming from. And that psychologist really praised athletes who speak openly about this and saying that the more people speak openly about it, the more people might be more likely to get help if they are in a situation where they do need help to sort of work through those stressors. And Katie says she's been working with her coach on these things. So check that out. You can find it linked at WKYC.com/3 Things to Know. And when she was talking about her advice for 2022 Winter Olympics athletes, she was talking more about, people who were there for first timers. But we do have a Northeast Ohio guy there. We have Red Gerard. He is from Rocky River and he's competing in 2 events. The men's snowboard slopestyle event and also the men's snowboard big air event. So we'll be able to watch him this weekend in that snowboarding competition. His official run in the men's snowboard slopestyle qualification round, that begins at 11:30 p.m. this Saturday night. So stay up late. You can watch it on 3 on WKYC. We've got the links for streaming as well on WKYC.com. And he is hoping to win the gold medal again. He won the gold medal in the slopestyle snowboarding competition in 2018 at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. So he is hoping to do that one more time. And then, of course, we have the information about the snowboard big air competition that he's a part of. That qualification round isn't until Monday, February 14th. So we've got a little bit of a wait on that. But the snowboarding slopestyle is this weekend, and we will be rooting him on. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Friday, February 4th. I hope everybody stayed safe and warm in that big snow that we got this week, and that you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you back here on Monday with more 3 News Now.